No, what I like about Elmwood too is it's gone through that entombment period. It's gone through a period that, when Wynwood opened up and it sort of changed, all that energy went to Wynwood. And then Elmwood was sort of left with, well, what do we do now? Well, we can do this, we can do that. And I think the thing about Elmwood is when you look at it, you realize half of it is public right-of-way that's not really public realm.
Welcome to the Hidden City Podcast. I'm Grant.
And I'm Doug, and we're here to share some of the incredible stories and people from Oak Cliff that you might not know.
We're going to sit down with some of the visionaries, craftsmen, and business owners who have shaped Oak Cliff into what it is today.
Oak Cliff is on the south bank of the Trinity River, a few miles south of downtown Dallas. While technically it was part of Dallas, it was its own city for a long time, and it still has that independent spirit.
We'll dive into the history and the spirit of this place, exploring the different challenges and successes that defined it.
This is The Hidden City, a podcast about the people and the stories that make Oak Cliff extraordinary.
Welcome to this episode of the Hidden City Podcast. Today we're excited to have Don Raines Jr. with us. He is a senior planner at the city of Dallas and an Oak Cliff resident, I believe.
Yes.
So great to have you on the show.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks for coming here.
Happy to be here.
This is exciting.
Thanks, Grant. Thanks, Doug.
So tell us what pulled you into planning and maybe even specifically planning in your own backyard here in Oak Cliff.
Oh gosh, well, yeah, planning is something that you do when you're a kid. You look at maps too many times, and when you look at maps and you think, okay, how can you start to memorize it and things like that, and whoever is a map freak becomes a planner eventually. So I think I looked at those things and I started to kind of understand how maps worked when I was at a young age. I mean, I remember distinctly going to Tyler State Park when I was like 7.
Oh,
and
cool.
The park ranger showed me what a topographic map was.
Yeah, I think that's really nice.
And explained it to me. Probably about a 5-minute conversation, but that was enough to actually set my trajectory of my life, ironically.
Planted the seed there, huh?
Right, just a park ranger. So I didn't know if I wanted to be a park ranger or, something like that.
Tyler State Park's a great park.
Yeah, it is. It was just one of those bizarre things. So I think that and just a combination of experiences growing, planning. My dad had some land in East Texas, and I would try to come up with ideas of what you could do with it. And but I'm a city person, so but even though I grew up in Garland, but you know what I'm saying.
Urban.
And but I've lived in Dallas since in the 90s, but in San Francisco, then came back to Dallas in 2000. I've been here ever since.
That's awesome.
And so I've been in Oak Cliff since 2007.
And so you during that time kind of realized, hey, I'm going into maybe urban planning or design, and found yourself at Rhode Island.
Yes, I went to UT Arlington for a little while. They killed my degree in the 80s when they got rid of the football team and the landscape architecture department at the same time.
What a terrible choice.
Right. And so I went to work for a sculptor for a while.
Cool.
And did some aerial photography, which is kind of closer to planning.
It's amazing.
I can't go back to that. Been replaced by drones, so that's that we would actually open up the window and take photographs out of a Cessna airplane.
I knew someone who used to do that,
Yeah.
and it was it was the most amazing thing. They also would photograph like other airplanes in the air too.
Yes,
like it was
exactly.
There's a niche for that.
It was.
Awesome.
Oh, I had a great pilot too. He couldn't hear worth a thing, but he could see everything. His hearing was terrible, but he could see a flock of geese 2 miles away.
Oh yeah. That's awesome.
So that was good. So yes, I went to Rhode Island School of Design to follow where my sculptor friend had gone years before, and that flies after me. Anyway, and so I went there. I had so much landscape architecture experience that my first semester I'd saved up and paid for. It was like $4,000 back then, and I just worked really hard that first semester. And they said, "Listen, we like what you're doing here. We know you pretty much have a bachelor's degree, even though you don't. We're going to put you in the master's program that's new."
Wow.
So it's really bizarre. I graduated with 2 degrees, bachelor's and master's in landscape architecture from Rhode Island School of Design in 1993.
That's amazing.
And, had some interesting people around. I used to, I'd see Shep Ferry was a student there.
Oh, it's an iconic place.
He's the guy that did the Hope and Obey.
The Obama posters.
And all the Obey.
His
all the
style so
you've
distinct.
seen. Yeah, we've seen some of the stuff.
All the
Mass
Obey
Contemporary.
stuff, right? He used to. Yeah, I don't mean to get into some tangent, but he would skate. He would skate.
On Shepherd Ferry.
He would skate on a skateboard with his friends, the so-called posse. Andre John has a posse. So his posse, they'd come down they'd go down the hill at College Hill in Providence, Rhode Island, and my roommate, I would throw black cat firecrackers at him and his friends, and they knew we were going to do that. We weren't trying to hurt him.
Yeah,
it was more of
it was kind of the gauntlet thing.
Can you get through here without?
So he still remembers that I was the guy who threw black cat.
Oh man, who would have known?
That's okay.
Awesome. Yeah,
that's okay.
Cool.
Just little weird things like that.
No, those are when you're in the right spot in the right place. Like you get to meet some really cool people and do some amazing things.
Oh
like
yeah,
Black Cat said.
he was an interesting printmaker. But anyway, besides that, but the experience in Rhode Island was very good. I'm from here, but I went there.
Yeah.
I even learned to be a tour guide there, so I had to switch into a Rhode Island accent.
There you go.
I had to pretend like I'm from Pawtucket or something like that.
Still got it.
Yeah.
You still got it.
Just switch gears. You
That's
have to eat a few more donuts. And
That's great.
but anyway,
but
that was a great experience. Rhode Island School of Design. I was there for 3 years in the early '90s, and just got so much out of it.
Yeah.
I was already 28 when I went there, so I was already older. I mean, I took furniture making, blacksmithing.
Wow.
I didn't do glass because I couldn't afford glass class.
Yeah.
Ceramics, metal casting.
Yeah.
Stone carving with a chisel and mallet.
Yeah, that's incredible.
It was a good experience.
Yeah,
it was fun.
Awesome.
And you had to see design from different perspectives. They wanted you to actually see it from even though it may not be your profession. They wanted to make sure that you learned it from a different angle each time.
That's awesome.
And that was a good experience.
Yeah.
So anyway, okay. So I'm sorry if I went on.
No, it's great.
I would say planning and design go in hand in a lot of ways. Always kind of was a planner. My dad always said you're kind of a planner.
So even from a early age, that your dad even saw that in you.
Yeah, he did. And my dad was a councilman when I was a kid in Garland, and he ran for mayor, and I'd learned how to go door to door at 8 years old.
Yeah.
Not easy to do. But things like that.
Meet some interesting people.
Yeah. So I kind of know it's that civic thing.
Yeah.
So it's both his influence of the civic life or the kind of a volunteerism that kind of brought me to the city of Dallas, I think, too. So it's sort of a similar path.
That's amazing.
But I don't know.
So what you're the senior planner, is that?
Senior.
So what does that role look like for people who don't know what
senior
a senior planner
planner
Dallas is?
Well, it's interesting. When I went for the job, and I'd also worked in the private industry as a landscape designer, landscape
Absolutely.
also transportation planning and things like that, and did some pseudo architecture, for many years.
Well, and some people might know you, Don, from a lot of the neighborhood meetings that we've had, downtown Elmwood and WOCAP and all these different things. Like you're out in the neighborhood.
Well, I try.
With people.
I try.
No, you are. You're doing
know.
it. But for those who don't know, senior planner, like, what does that look like?
What it looks like is, and it's interesting because there's different types of planners.
Okay.
I've learned that at the city. There's current planning. There's long range planning. I came in as a long range planner, maybe because of my age. Who knows? Okay. But as a long range planner, basically is to look at plans from way back. Try to understand things from decades point of view, because what that does is when a current planner, and they get permits and things like that, everything's real quick for them. And then we have to say, oh, by the way, there might be a trail here in about 10 years, so you might not want to, block the trail.
Oh, that's fascinating.
So you have to kind of it's almost like being a librarian. You have to kind of get ahead of it.
Yeah.
And
you're constantly living in the future too.
I'm sort of stuck in both the past and the
Yes.
future. So I learned it's better if I actually understand my past really well, and that's that's why I want to help with Oak Cliff. So if you understand the past really well, you can understand why things went the way they went, and then you could figure out what's the right trajectory. And I've learned. I'll get into the character in a little bit, but I've learned that this is really fascinating. But the way things start in cities, the characteristic or the intention behind it, somehow, maybe they called it genus loci. It's kind of like the spirit of the place keeps going.
Wow.
Even if you don't realize it. I mean, even the people that live in Oak Cliff are really kind of living Thomas Marsalis' dream, whether they realize it or not. because it's a respite. It was meant to be the Brooklyn of the Southwest of Texas. Yeah. It was meant to be a different place. The river gave it that excuse to be different. And we'll get into that.
Man, I mean, that's great. I feel like
let's keep going down that.
Let's drive right into that.
Yeah.
I mean, you brought up Oak Cliff's history.
Yeah.
And Thomas Marsalis.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit. I mean, Oak Cliff's got a long arc of different things, early settlements all the way to annexation, all the way through.
Right.
What were the key moments or things that you see that really dictated this place?
Well, of course, we always learn Dallas history from the Dallas side, from John Neely Bryan. Right? Yeah. We understand his story pretty well, which is a very interesting story, frankly. I think, and Oak Cliff is a complementary to that. This is what I think is even interesting before the settlement that we know.
Right. Yeah.
The characteristic of the Caddo Nation.
I was about to say.
Yeah. Is one of, like ambassadors, they would actually settle disputes between Native American tribes. They didn't get along very well with some, but in general, a lot of people came to them for civility. Unfortunately, and I don't mean to be hard on the Comanche, on the Fort Worth side, the Post Oak Savannah that goes between Dallas and Fort Worth through Arlington, that line of trees was the different nations of Caddo on the east and Comanche on the west. About the time that people started settling here. And John Neely Bryan could speak 4 languages. I don't think people realize that. He actually kind of spent most of his life with Native Americans in West Memphis.
You say is the founder of Dallas?
Yeah, the founder of Dallas. But
John.
So when he came here, his intention was to have a trading post. Mm-hmm. That was the commerce he saw. Yeah. He saw the Austin chalk of the Trinity that we can't see anymore because it's been excavated out. But it was like a land bridge. And so, and if you think about the local creeks like that with the white rock, you can see tadpoles, fish. It was kind of like heaven.
No kidding.
All of a sudden, you have this blank canvas with every little aquatic thing going through it that you can see, for one thing. Mm-hmm. And it just kind of felt the abundance felt strong. The Native Americans felt that too. And but I'm just saying the difference between the Caddo and the Comanche has a reason why Dallas is a trading center looking east and Fort Worth is a fort looking west and north. And it's kind of like has a lot to do with the characteristics of the Native Americans before
the tribes before.
Right. Yeah, we always think, why is Dallas Fort Worth so different? But that has a lot to do with how they were settled to begin with. Yeah. So our characteristic of being businesslike and looking to the east really is almost a blueprint. Nature, right? It's like a blueprint of John Neely Bryan. Now, Oak Cliff itself.
I never made that. That was beautiful.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that.
No, because I've heard stories, of the Caddo people, and they're actually where. Everyone probably already knows this, but where Texas gets its name.
Yes, it is.
Where they would say,
I didn't know that.
Okay,
so.
It means.
I think they would friends. Say, are you friends?
Teja, which then.
The Spanish kind of switched to Tejas to Texas, right?
Which means, friend.
Right.
I had no idea.
Because when people came here, they said, where am I?
Yeah,
and they answered, are you friends?
Oh, okay.
And when they answered, are you friends, that was misinterpreted as not the place, but what's your intention?
Yeah.
So I think, and the Spanish had the same relation with the Caddo. That was generally pretty pleasant.
Okay.
And when I say Caddo, there's other nations that are associated with that, including the Wichita and a few other, the Anadarko and other.
Anadarko is the one that was on the Trinity, right?
Yeah, they were the ones who were pretty much along the Trinity itself. Okay. And I think there was a Delaware tribe at one point in time.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Kind of at the where Cedar Creek runs into the Trinity.
Man, there's thousands of years before us.
Right.
Hundreds of years. Right. So much before.
Right. I mean, there were skirmishes, and there were Comanche here too. I wouldn't say it was night and day.
Oh yeah.
But there was still skirmishes and things happening, especially in Pleasant Grove and Rowlett.
Yeah, I've heard furthermore to Fort Worth. Well, there was a book, Empire of the Summer Moon? No, something. I think that sounds about right.
I've learned more from older books and more online things because just like
stuff that's out of public or out of publication too.
Right, that's true.
Yeah.
Today's show is brought to you by Waxspace. Are you looking for a place in Oak Cliff to connect and meet other neighbors? Then Waxspace is the place for you. Come join the Neighborhood Work Club, and for just $80 a month, you can get all the things you need to be productive at work. Why work from home when you can work from a place with other neighbors? We've got cold brew, fresh coffee all day, phone booths for your meetings. We've got a podcast studio and a lot of other amenities here. So visit thewackspace.com to learn more and sign up today.
Oak Cliff itself, I think, generally it was a very gentle place. The Wichita were just to the west of here. They they put some burial grounds along the, sad to say, kind of where I-20, or I'm sorry, where I-30 and Loop 12 meet, along the escarpment. So the escarpment had sort of a spiritual connection for that was about the southern boundary for the Wichita.
Sure.
But in general, I think Oak Cliff was drawn because it was just sort of a very calm place. There wasn't too many skirmishes and things. Again, we're at the territorial end of the Caddo Nation and the beginning of the Comanches, so it's sort of the Alaska of their world. And I think in general, from what I understand of Oak Cliff too, different settlements happen, especially along the creek that goes through the zoo, the Cedar Creek. Little settlements in those areas as well. I think they're just kind of drawn because the water was always clear and clean. And I think even the name Oak Cliff is derived from some of the land massing that you see kind of near the Dallas Zoo, because that was pretty much where where the Horde family had lived, and when they sold their land to Marcellus, it was kind of he probably looked at that and says, "I'm not going to name this Horde's Ridge."
I'm not going to what?
I'm not going to name it
Horde's Ridge.
Horde's Ridge.
They called it Horde's Ridge originally.
Yeah, I knew that was the name. Yeah.
And then he so he switched the name to Oak Cliff.
Marcellus.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so he, from my understanding, I think he lived in New York City for a time being too. And so he kind of had this idea of a Brooklyn type of community, or a way for people to work really hard in Dallas, cross the river, and have their weekends and their holidays and things here. And that characteristic is, you could still get that feel from Kidd Springs or from Lake Cliff Park. For the Dallas Zoo used to be part of the gardens and things like that. So anyway, those are
where have you been? We're on season 2, and it took us this long to sit down with you.
I told you I'd answer these questions.
Oh no,
well, we've been referring to it as the Brooklyn of Dallas.
That goes back to the 1880s.
Yeah. Okay,
we say
didn't know that.
We say it today, ironically, but he even said it then.
Well,
wow.
it's
he said it at the Southwest. He said
the left bank, the kind of the artist kind of enclave.
Absolutely.
There's some of these things that are just built into the DNA of Oak Cliff.
I think you're right. The DNA is meant to be chill. Yeah. You can put a fancy restaurant, and no offense to fancy restaurants, but you can put a fancy restaurant in Oak Cliff, but it's kind of like, I'm not sure that's expected.
Right.
It's not quite. But there's a lot of detachment too. I'm going into history real quick.
For sure, go.
When it became Oak Cliff in 1891, I believe. We had the big flood of 1908, right? And when the flood happened, I think almost all the bridges went with it. Yeah. There was bridges, for Cadiz Street Bridge. There was, I don't know if you know this, Marcellus actually went all the way to Commerce Street. It was a straight, and that was gone too.
So it just decimated.
Yeah, it took out all the bridges. So the idea of working in Dallas and living in Oak Cliff, now you can't get to your job for 4 years. Or you have to pay for a barge to go across the river. Or if you could afford the streetcar, you could afford the streetcar. But if you couldn't afford it, if you just did horse and carriage, you're out of luck. Yeah. So it was expensive to go to your job for 4 years. Yeah. And I think that set Oak Cliff economically back a bit. We had to kind of, at that point, realize that we're not just an appendage of Dallas, that we have to act as an independent and be sort of self-sustaining. And I think that's where our resourcefulness comes from. I really do. I think that entrepreneurial spirit was really born by that time period after the flood.
So that 4-year period of basically
before the Houston Viaduct.
Just like, we're
basically severed Oak Cliff
until
Dallas.
Until the Oak Cliff Houston Street Viaduct, we call it today.
Wow.
Until that was built in 1912.
Holy cow.
So it was kind of like
it's on us. We got to figure it out a little bit. Like that kind of like mindset, like go and build it.
I think that's what I mean. I when I read things, it just sort of suggests this, guys. Sure. It's not in black and white as much but you start to see why people make the decisions when they did, and what developed the character of Oak Cliff. But I think as long as we're still entrepreneurial, we're still resourceful, we still somewhat relaxed, and
I think so.
You need to.
Then we're really embodying the spirit of who we are to begin with. And it's really weird because a lot of us are not from here, and it's I think you just pick up on the spirit of a place. That's what I'm trying to say. You may not. you don't have a guide to Oak Cliff when you get here.
No.
You know, chill out.
Yeah.
You don't have a guy.
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
right. They don't tell you. They don't tell you what
how
the
to
values
be,
of the area are.
how to be. But you know,
Yeah.
you just sort of pick up on it. So I think it's generational. And you know, there are different communities here.
Sure.
There was Jimtown. There was other things that were just sort of popping up. There was a little town that didn't quite make a town, but it was called Sparks.
Okay.
It didn't make it.
Sparks.
Further south, there was Lisbon, Texas, which was, you think, oh, wow, must be a lot of Portuguese.
Yeah.
No, it's actually a nickname for Elizabeth,
Oh.
who, a person who I think ran a hotel.
Okay.
This is down there off,
Off
of Lancaster
Okay.
and Ann Arbor, that area.
Oh, wow.
So there was little towns that sort of got absorbed into this area as well. Obviously, the train came to Dallas first in 1872, and then we got the train a little bit later. And then it's kind of like everything was hinging on the trains. But because of Oak Cliff's topography, things kind of go north south. They don't quite go east west as much as it does on the other side of the river. So I think it's interesting how the city shaped itself out. The hard thing was the Millimore plantation, which was built in the 1870s, I think it was, and that was 300 enslaved people that worked over there where Cadillac Heights is today.
Or Cadillac
Okay.
Heights.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
the whole Bonnie View thing.
Yeah.
That's
Bonnie View. Okay.
yeah, and Bonnie is not named after someone named Bonnie. It's a beautiful view, like
View.
right, like the
Okay.
Scottish would say. So anyway, sorry.
No,
I'll let you ask.
apologize.
I'll let you ask
Keep
another
going.
question. Go ahead.
I mean,
I don't even have any more
No,
questions.
no,
I'm listening now.
Yeah.
I feel like
I don't mean to sound like a know-it-all.
No,
but
no,
It's,
it's-
fun to hear words put to.
Yeah.
Like we've been talking about the spirit of Oak Cliff, and
Yeah.
we've talked to so many entrepreneurs, and we've been wondering the same question: like,
Talking to
why are you here?
creatives,
Why are you in
right.
this area?
Right.
And you're giving us some important history that
Oh,
helps us understand
well,
like
and
this is
even, like-
actually deeply connected to the founding
It
or
is.
the origination of this area.
And even before that time, with the whole law reunion
I was just gonna
community,
say,
Let's
like,
jump
how
in
does that
there.
even get to?
And
this
that's really
area?
that's kind of West Dallas' story, to be honest
Yeah,
with you.
yeah.
But when Law Reunion, when they 300 people showed in
Yep.
1855, and only 2 really knew how to farm, that was pretty hard on them
Yeah.
because we had a drought year that
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
It was basically a lot of starving artists,
Yeah.
idealistic people that came from France and Switzerland and Belgium, I believe. I think they dragged a piano from Galveston to here, so they were pretty set on keeping the culture.
Wow.
incredible.
Watchmaker, right? I
yeah,
think our first brewer.
Right, first
in
brewer.
all of Dallas.
Rivershon was also in that family.
Rivershon was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So you see Catagrill streets and you see Swiss Avenue. All those things were connected back to that family or to that group of people. But what was interesting about the Law Reunion experiment, it only lasted a couple of years. They drew the most beautiful map of their colony. I mean, it looks like something that was drawn just 5 years ago.
Wow.
It was all in French, of course, but they had their settlement. When they kind of lost their shirt, they had to go to the closest town.
Yeah.
So here, all of a sudden, these French-speaking people showed up in downtown Dallas,
Yeah.
and they really couldn't explain
Why
their
they're
situation.
There, yeah.
But we had this infusion of starving artists, basically, and a lot of that some of them kind of bled up into this area as well. But these starving artists and these idealistic people brought so much European talent. They were kind of the seed of the DMA too.
Wow.
And even a little bit of Neiman Marcus kind of sort of works off of it. So it's kind of like this culture influx, what could have been a cowboy town, happened. But then again, there's this association with West Dallas of being foreign.
Yeah.
So even Dallas has this association of West Dallas, even though it's not French per se anymore, it's mostly Hispanic. There's still that foreign disconnection. And West Dallas wasn't annexed by Dallas until 1950. I don't think people realize that.
1950?
Yeah.
Well, and
That is not long ago.
Not really.
Who was it? The Philip Wise and Barry were telling us about like this. The streets changing over the Trinity River.
Yes, exactly.
And
Yeah.
can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah,
more? It's just disassociation. too?
Dallas doesn't do a very good job when they annex someplace. They still
Yeah.
are not very good at that. Our
Okay.
last annexation was Kleberg
Okay.
in the southeast part of town in 1978. But when Dallas annexes places and there's streets that are named the same streets, they basically Dallas gets the name of the street and they change the name of the street. Like even where I live off Greenbrier was Burr Oak originally.
Okay.
But you're right, Mockingbird becomes Westmoreland, Elmwood becomes Hampton, Sylvan and Wycliffe, all that stuff changes, Houston to Zane. which should be Zang's, by the way. It was originally Zang's Boulevard.
Zangs with an S?
With an S.
It was Zang's?
Right.
Love that.
Yeah, it
Let's
was
bring it
Zang's.
back.
So
Yeah.
let's
Come
go
on, Chad
spray
West.
paint an S on that sign.
Or like
Right.
how I was like, go to Chad West. You're
Yeah.
like, let's spray paint.
Yeah, but I think unfortunately Oak Cliff kind of lost some names of streets. They had there was first, second, third, and things like that that they had to lose. Some of the streets along the Trinity were like Brazos, Addison.
Wow.
They just if it was named in Dallas, they lost the name and they had to change the name to something here. So that kind of hurt Oak Cliff's identity because people, who wants to live in a place and all of a sudden your street name changes because it's politically been taken over.
Yeah.
Right.
So that was something, and I almost hate to tell you this story because I read it once and then I should have written down where I learned it, but there was a issue in annexation in Dallas. Dallas had this thing where all animals had to be locked up at night, livestock. Oak Cliff had this, I forgot her name, a female cow that would walk around Jefferson, I think. And all of a sudden, whoever owned that cow got a ticket or got a citation for this.
Hell no. Okay.
And that was sort of the beginning of Oak Cliff being mad at Dallas. It's like, well, she's not really harming anything. So if you see these references,
pure bureaucracy.
it goes back to this female cow. I remember reading her name. I'm sorry, guys.
We'll chat GPT
If you could find it, good luck.
We're gonna create some T-shirts about this.
Right.
Free,
I do
whatever the
sometimes.
cow's name is.
So I'm not, but there's still so Oak Cliff, home of free roaming cattle, should be.
Yeah, that's it. I like it.
If y'all want to set the cows free just to protest Dallas, you can probably get away with it.
Oh, I love it.
Now it's out.
So anyway, that was a very
Wait,
early.
I've never heard that
That was
story.
an
It's so funny.
early incident in 1903.
Okay.
So somewhere in that time.
Annex was 1905, is that right?
It was 03.
Oh, it was 03.
03.
Oh, yeah. Duh.
Yeah.
I
You got a
should
beer
know
named
that.
after
I should
that
probably
brewery.
know that.
That's okay.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
It's really hard to find its history. I mean, I had to really do a lot of digging to find it, and it's almost like you have to triangulate all your stories.
I've heard there was some funny business. I mean, I could see you having to go through the history of it, sources-wise. It's got to be a difficult journey, but maybe you know this. It seemed like there was some funny business with the
Actual
vote
election?
for the annexation, or the way that the annexation took place.
It was
that true?
There was a vote. It was just an economic issue, really, and I think it was only passed by less 50 votes or something like that to actually go into Dallas, become part of Dallas. So Oak Cliff was still fiercely trying to be itself.
It was it wasn't really hoping to be
Right.
annexed. It was
what really hurt Oak Cliff too is people don't realize there was an worldwide economic downturn in 1891.
Okay.
So I think it originated in Brazil or Argentina or something like that. But the economy just dropped.
Okay.
It wasn't like the Great Depression, but it was something like that.
It was enough of a hit.
It was a big hit, and Marcellus had to basically subdivide. He had big properties, and he had to subdivide.
Yeah.
And the more subdivision that you saw was closer to the Trinity because it might flood, right? But there was, there's all these subdivisions that were happening that were estates. It went from estates to affordable.
Wow.
And but 10th Street story too, all that stuff actually played into it because a lot of African American people felt there was a lot more opportunity in Oak Cliff than there was in South Dallas. And it's been sort of a stable, again, do-it-yourself, resourceful kind of life here. So I think it's sort of the American story in a microcosm of the American story. Yeah.
We love the history of this place, and I think that's like you were saying, understanding the character of it and the where we come from on some of these things is just so. It feels very Oak Cliff. It feels very. There's something nice about it.
And I think the more you do to reinforce that character, the more successful you are.
Yeah.
I mean, I heard Mary Soom, the old former city manager of Dallas. She once said, "If you want to know the future of Dallas, look no further than District 1." I think I told that.
Fascinating.
I think I told it to Chad West one time, but
Chad believes that he was on the show and he's like, I feel like we're on the front end of all the issues.
It's true.
Everything,
I mean, I think like what Jason Roberts done too, and Andrew and those folks. I mean, they were kind of like Better Block originated here.
Yeah.
The ideas for the Dallas Bike Plan came here. The Dallas Complete Streets project, all that stuff originated here, and so I think it's a place for ideas. It's an entrepreneurial spirit, and it's more of a grassroots entrepreneurial spirit. It's not really like an individualistic Silicon Valley type of entrepreneurial spirit. Yeah. It's not like everybody's an opportunist and they're just there's a real societal thing here. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
It's totally. It's communal.
It's a community of like-minded folks. Not everybody's like-minded, but generally there's that spirit, and that's what attracted me. I lived in downtown for a while, and then I crossed. My wife and I crossed in 2007 over here, and we live right by the Trinity, so it's kind of like nice. The downtown people were saying, "Oh, you live in Oak Cliff," and the Oak Cliff people say, "Well, you're really still in downtown."
That's
so we're river people, right?
There you go.
Whatever that is, but I think not that I couldn't go further. We couldn't go further into Oak Cliff because we saw how Bishop Arts rose to.
Yeah.
I used to work at an architecture firm off Crawford back in the 80s. Okay. And I remember also we had a little office off Tyler Street and Jefferson over there. And, it was a lot of things were boarded up back then.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember Bishop Arts being just plywood at that time. So I think it's one of your questions too. But so we did see how the grassroots of that happened. I think it was Jim Lake, they went, to get some improvements on Bishop Avenue too. And we're just talking about little bulb outs and some trees.
Yeah.
Really wasn't a huge, lot of money from the city of Dallas. It was enough to just kind of get the ball rolling. It made a place that was abandoned into a walkable place.
Yeah.
So the framework was there. Thank goodness we didn't just wipe it out and put a retail shopping center. That could have happened.
Yeah.
So sometimes when things are overlooked, like Bishop Arts or other places, it has a new life to it. And I learned that mostly in Providence. Oh my gosh, Providence, Rhode Island.
Wow, we gotta go.
Yeah, well, it's nice now. Yeah. But I mean, when I went there in the early '90s, it was the Rust City.
Okay.
I mean, the very first thing I heard was a homeless guy tell me it's a sad, sad city.
Oh,
I got off the train station. That's what he told me in the snow.
Okay. That's not what you want to hear.
No. I'm about to move here. Thanks. Appreciate it. That's a great introduction. But no, that city went through an economic downturn for 70 years. I mean, they had a depression in the 1920s, and then they had the real depression in the 30s.
Wow.
But they got desperate. They were like, "Oh my God, we got to reinvent ourselves, or we're not going to make it." They were ready to tear down whole neighborhoods built in the 1770s. The house I lived in was 1787. Thank goodness they didn't tear it down.
Unbelievable.
But, the world's widest bridge, which was a parking lot over a river. Really wasn't a bridge, it was a parking lot. So they'd made mistakes, but I'm just saying that they finally realized, I think the bicentennial sort of made things different. All of a sudden they said, well, maybe we should keep our history after all. Boston's doing it. Why can't we? So I think what happened was sometimes cities go through this. They go through a little period of nothing happens.
Okay.
But if they don't lose their shirt and sell their soul, it will still continue.
It
may skip a generation or two, but something will come back. So Providence has really gotten itself back again.
Well, and I feel like Oak Cliff.
So that was a good learning lesson too.
Yeah, and I do feel like sometimes Dallas can be shiny and new.
Yeah.
And Oak Cliff has that I mean, we're sitting in a 100-year-old factory that's been repurposed into co-working and other stuff, and so. It's like there's something that's very special about maybe it was overlooked for so long, and that's what allowed for this opportunity. But maybe there's something in there, too, that just really loves.
I think so, yeah. And there's nothing more sustainable than to repurpose something, existing architecture or existing infrastructure. So when you repurpose something, that life just continues.
Yeah.
I used to hear about brick and mortar and think, well, whatever. But now I'm really a big fan of it. And I'm really thinking, if you can hold on to 100-year-old buildings and repurpose them into something else, it just a shell of a building. If you build something today and it's apartment complex, circa 2020 apartment complex, 2050 it's going to fall down. It's just going to be sticks and sheetrock, and its life cycle is so short, and then you've got to tear it down and start over again. So it's kind of like it's good to invest like what we did as far as into the older buildings and use them over and over again into something else. I think even in Bishop Arts, wasn't there like a movie theater or something like that, or a bowling alley or something? Something was there and it was changed into something else, and it's a great thing.
Yeah. Well, Speaking of that, I know
it's a fabric.
We're both in Elmwood, and
yes,
we've seen you at a lot of downtown Elmwood meetings,
and I want you to know right off the bat, we're not trying to turn Elmwood into Bishop Arts.
Oh well, and I mean, there's arguments on both sides where it's like some people are like, we want more services, and it's all those conversations. It's complex, but tell us, what's
Elmwood,
the update?
Elmwood. I mean, what I love about Elmwood too is, of course, it was a dairy farm before. It's a Tennessee dairy farm.
I talked to, you'll get a kick out of this, the grandson yesterday on the phone.
Are you serious?
Yeah. He, yeah, I know.
So casual.
Some
just
Waters.
Yesterday,
was Leslie something. Yeah, I forget the senior. But
okay.
Anyways, he's up in Richardson, and I was just trying to get some more history and make some connections, and
that's awesome.
He's telling me that his aunt is still alive, used to live on the farm, run around, and we might get to talk to her someday on a Hidden City
Amazing.
Podcast. But,
we can still see remnants from the
little
stone bridge,
the stone wall,
the
stone wall is like really something from the East Coast.
Yeah, his family, he told me yesterday on the phone, was from Virginia.
There you go.
So as soon as he said that, I was like, oh, that is
they didn't get the barbed wire memo then.
Yeah, I know. No, but that was the stone wall. I immediately thought that.
Exactly. That makes sense. Because it is definitely something that, wasn't embraced or that you see very often in Texas in general. But no, what I like about Elmwood too is it's gone through that entombment period. It's gone through a period that, when Wynwood opened up and it sort of changed, all that energy went to Wynwood. And then Elmwood was sort of left with, well, what do we do now? Well, we can do this, we can do that. And I think the thing about Elmwood is when you look at it, you realize half of it is public right-of-way that's not really public realm.
Yeah.
It's public right-of-way, but it's not really, you don't even know it's public right-of-way. So you look at the map and you're like, 50% of this is publicly owned land. Does the city even know that? And then you realize, well, it's just been parked on, abused, whatever. Yep. So it's kind of an anarchy little thing. However, I think that's just because there's no communication between the city and businesses there. However, I think there's those remnants of the storefront. There's the auto repair. Yeah. There's all these little things. There's something that everybody can contribute something in Elmwood.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's, you have these single family houses that you can walk to this. You have these little buildings that can be a studio or it could be, anything it wants to be. Hold on to those things. Yeah. And it's got the bones and the framework to be whatever it wants to be. Yeah. But it doesn't have to be something else. Elmwood could really be its own identity, and we don't need to get some sort of performance measure on it from the city's point of view that, it's only, you're not going to do this until you're this. No, it needs to be its own trajectory. And I love the fact that people have invested there, to live there. Yeah. And that, looked at the identity, created the identity. I wish I wore my Elmwood shirt.
Oh, yeah.
I had in the house and everything. But, I think I just love the fact that it's one of those things that, Oliver Stone saw it for the movie, right, for that, for
what an endorsement.
Right. Yeah. So it has that framework. Yeah. I mean, it's not upstate New York that was supposed to be in that movie, but it was kind of like,
It gave a little picture of that.
Right.
You're like, hey, this is a community that can be surrounded by these businesses. Right. And
it's unusual,
you can walk to get your smash burger. And
it does feel, especially like where a lot of the commercial buildings are, very unusual.
Right.
Like it has a sort of interesting neighborhood commercial area blend that just feels magical and seems to have so much potential.
It's kind of like a 1950s thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to go retro 50s.
No, but you can go walk and get your food. Like sometimes my kids will be like, "Are we driving or walking?" I'm like, "We're walking." It's
exactly.
I love that that's even a question in Dallas.
And the fact that you have the creek coming by there too.
That trail is awesome.
It just has its own vibe.
Yeah.
And but it shouldn't feel like it's a satellite to anything else.
Yeah.
I think it should be its own thing. It's its own story. And so I think the best things happen with grassroots.
Well, what's the latest with it? Just for my own sake, I'm so curious.
It's kind of it's tough a little bit because we worked on the vision plan during the pandemic. So it's kind of like we were stuck inside the office or at home and working on it. But I remember in 2020 we were like, okay, we got to come up with what are we going to do with Edgefield? How's it going to work? And so we came up with some concepts, and then, there's always, the street has to be functional. It's a big street. It goes quite a distance through Dallas and Oak Cliff, but it's also, with all the shaped roads and, it's kind of doing this big C thing. I think we realize with all this public owned land that's not being used for anything, things that are parks that are not parks.
Yeah. Tell us about that. You mentioned that earlier. This publicly owned land.
Yeah,
in this area, what kind of things are you?
I think what it means is the folks in Elmwood have to look at the publicly owned land and say to the city, "This is what we want with this land. This is what we want with this." It doesn't have to be another mowing opportunity.
Right.
It doesn't have to be another paving opportunity. It needs to be something that reflects to the community itself. Elmwood has more public right-of-way than most places in Dallas. They don't realize
I didn't know that. I guess I didn't think about it. Is that all the
grass islands?
Yeah,
like some of that?
That's all public.
Do you feel like people gave that during the vision kind of stuff?
I wish I could tell you.
I know.
It's really unusual. Yeah. It's if you look at the actual map of what's private and what's public owned, you'd be surprised.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
It's just that the public owned stuff is just so utilitarian. So parking cars and. Right. So it's really it should be it should be a blank canvas. It should be something that people can look at and say, well, we don't really need this much pavement. This is just another parking thing. Can we do this instead? Can we put some public art? Yeah. I've actually talked to the public, to the art, cultural arts and fairs about it, and so they've got ideas too. But can there be things that happen that reflect the community? By any means, we don't want the repair shops to feel like we're being kicked out. The storefront has its thing. There's 2 different types of parking. I finally figured out 2 or 3.
Yeah.
There's the parking for the storefront, which is the head end or the angle or things like that. Then there's the parking for the repair places too, which is not an organized way of doing it. Yeah. And how do we compartmentalize that? Well, I saw that the alleys need to be. The alleys aren't used at all, so use the alleys.
Yeah, that's right. Make a lot of alleys.
Yeah,
keep it walkable.
You won't believe.
Cars aren't on sidewalks.
You're not going to believe where I learned this.
Yeah.
It was Knox Street. I went over to Knox Street and says, Knox Street can't function without their alleys, at all.
Yeah.
It's expected to use the alley to park behind the building. So why can't Elmwood actually do that too? I'm sorry, I'm not trying to turn you into Knox Street.
But I love that example.
I do think a lot of neighbors are like, "Hey, we've been hearing about plans for a long time, and we just want something to happen."
Well, and I hear too,
and I'm like, I know there's patience in all of this too, but it's
like I was saying earlier too. We focus on the land use, the development side of it, to make sure it's a slow transition, but a walkable mixed use. That doesn't necessarily mean those kinds of apartments and things, but just walkable mixed use. Everybody has to go through the process and permit it anyway. You can't just, oh, sure, we want this. Let's put a Moderna in there. I mean, it's not that. It's really kind of like, so we could still shape the neighborhood the way it is and differently. I think in general, though, it should be a land use driven plan, and then the infrastructure comes. But the infrastructure has to complement the land use. So you can't call it walkable mixed use on LBJ Freeway, for example.
It's purely a transportation project.
Well,
whereas this is maybe a mixture.
Yeah. The coffee shop where it's like, I know that was like it was like, hey, everyone's walking to this coffee shop, but they're like going across Edgefield, which is can be very hard to. But that's like, hey, the business is driving that like kind of use, and that's an example of like, to me, I feel like maybe some of that helping. I mean, we just want to put a stop sign for there's things that are just basics to make sure we don't. There's no law that says you have to have a street lane wider than 12 feet, 18 foot, 20 foot, whatever. The wider the street lane is, the more racing you're going to get. Yeah. I mean, that's just basic math. Yeah. And so we do want to do the road diet. We want to make sure that it's accommodating for pedestrians and cyclists too. And those curb cuts, you don't need a 60-foot long driveway entrance to a store. Yeah. I mean, you don't. You're not expecting 18-wheelers to pull into the convenience stores, are you? I mean, so it's really, we're really trying to tighten those aprons so that we have enough actual sidewalk, not just walking in the driveway. Yeah.
Today's show is brought to you by Oak Cliff Brewing Co. Are you interested in unwinding and connecting with neighbors over a great beer? Then go visit Oak Cliff Brewing Co. They've got a great tap room with all sorts of great beers on tap. It's a full production brewery here in the heart of Oak Cliff. Visit oakcliffbrewing.com to find out what's on tap right now and where you can find fresh beer made right here in Oak Cliff. We're talking about Elmwood. I'm so curious because you do live in the future. You think about what decades while we're all living on the day-to-day. So tell us what, a lot of work's been done planning-wise for this area, for Elmwood. Where do you see it kind of heading over the next few decades?
I think Elmwood is going to have to always have a strong creative community to keep the ball rolling, to keep the vision going that's been created. I think there's always ways to get sidetracked, but I think as long as the community stays strong and that vision, it will kind of emerge. I mean, I even grew up seeing Deep Ellum change, right? Yeah. I saw it go from something as exciting as Irving Boulevard to what it is today.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it was, I'm that old. I'm just saying that I remember.
It just takes time, though.
It takes time, and it takes the ability to repurpose and the ability to have flexibility and attract entrepreneurs there. Yeah. Once you get that, and you already have it, but once you keep that going, then and once you realize all that land is publicly owned, and you could probably tell the city you want to do something with it, then it sort of opens up a whole plethora of creativity. And so I think Elmwood is going to it may be a slow path, but it reminds me a lot of how Deep Ellum was in 1980. It's kind of like, it was still kind of trying to figure out its identity, believe it or not. Yeah. It was like warehouses and, catering businesses and book binders and little weird little businesses that could fit into there. The pawn shops had already left, and the jazz clubs of the 40s had long gone. So I went through a time of just,
figuring itself out.
Yeah. Right. So it sometimes places you're just early and it just doesn't quite happen yet. Yeah. It's weird how things happen. Like, I'll be really quick, going to the other side of Dallas. But when Love Field shut down, basically, all the American and Braniff, all these airlines flew out of Love Field, and they all had to move to DFW. And then the little lowly Southwest says, "Oh, we want to stay." "Oh, okay. You don't have to go to DFW. You just go to Austin, Houston. You're okay. You can stick around." So you got 3 planes. So when Love Field in the 70s basically shut down and the city of Dallas owned it, I learned how to ice skate in the Love Field terminal. There used to be an ice rink in there in 1975. And also, because there wasn't any planes, all these apartments on the other side of Bodmin Lake got built. It says, hey, there's no noise.
Oh, that's right.
It's like, we got Bodmin Lake. Yeah. And that was actually the hip part of Dallas.
Oh, wow.
I mean, the European Crossroads Shopping Center was like an early West Village kind of thing. All these, it was like a, hey, there's no noise. Yeah. We can breathe. Let's fix up Bodmin Lake and have, roller skating and paddle boats on the lake and all that kind of stuff. And then when the planes started picking up again, then those apartments didn't look so good anymore. Yeah. So it's kind of like, it's interesting how cities go through this up and down period. Yeah. I actually learned that from some Berliners. They told me how cities kind of rise up and they go down. And they came to Dallas and they wanted to ride in the back of my pickup truck because they can't do it in Germany and drive through downtown. I said, okay, whatever. I got these crazy Germans in the back of my pickup. But they were so stoked about Dallas, about downtown, or just Dallas. They said, we see your city. And these are East Berliners. We see your city going up. And we're excited about that. But we know in Europe, we have a history of cities going up and down all the time.
Well, I've always heard a barometer, and this is maybe just a saying we've picked up, but it's like, so goes Jefferson, so goes Oak Cliff. Like, and that's kind of something that I've seen or we've seen as like a little through line or a heartbeat of Oak Cliff. Would you agree with that when you think of the whole Oak Cliff as a community?
I think Oak Cliff has learned to, at first it was all about Jefferson, that's true, because it was the downtown of Oak Cliff. And everything changed in 1956 when the streetcars stopped. Yeah. Because there was so many, in January of 56 when the streetcars stopped, people actually used to take the streetcar to church on 10th Street. Yep. And there was more churches on 10th Street than almost anywhere in the United States because of the streetcar. And then when the streetcar went away, all of a sudden you got well, this church is, we can't get anybody here because we can't get them here by public transportation. So we need to buy this church over here and turn it into a parking lot. And those things started happening, tax-free parking lots and all that kind of stuff. And then, so I think Oak Cliff really, really built its identity off the streetcar. It was the first train. The steam train came over from Marsalis. He brought the first train across. Then steam became out of fashion, and it became a streetcar quickly. Okay. But in general, Oak Cliff was always about the adventure of crossing the river and doing the streetcar system. And because we didn't just wipe it clean in the 1970s and start over and get rid of all that, we still have the bones of the streetcar character. Bishop Arts, Elmwood, of course, all those are bones from the past. Okay. All about walkable. So
was Elmwood on the streetcar line, or did it?
I'm not sure if it was for sure. Yeah. I'm not sure. I have to look in the maps.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of places like
it's just these districts.
Yeah, these little districts,
little centers.
Oak Cliff, Boulevard. And, there's some places over there that you start to see the old map from 1925. Yeah. You can see how things kind of developed. Streetcars are great, guys.
Okay, tell us why.
I'm just like, how do we bring the streetcars back, even if it's just for us?
I learned this at a convention of a mayor from Bogota, Colombia. He said something very interesting about streetcars. He said, the reason we love streetcars so much is very much based on the animal kingdom. Mm-hmm. He said that basically when you're sitting in a streetcar and you're walking down the street, your eye level is the same. A pedestrian and the eye level and a streetcar. A bus may be a little taller, but there's this, what is it, in the animal kingdom? If your eyesight is higher than the other one, then you're more dominant.
Yeah, that's right.
Something like that.
Some sort of.
So there's something about the predictability of a 15 mile per hour, mobility option that, I could stand, 3 feet from the tracks and I know I'm not going to get hit.
Yeah.
And so that predictability, where it's going to go. It's not going to, change its mind and go some other part of town. All that kind of stuff helps the bones of cities.
Tell me that's in the future of Oak Cliff. Streetcars everywhere.
Yeah.
How do we make it?
I got to. Yeah, I was on both the Octa board and the Mata board.
Okay, nice.
So I was. People didn't know if I was historic streetcars or if I was modern streetcars.
Yeah.
And I kind of said I like all streetcars.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But it's interesting because I know they're expensive to build, but they're a 100-year thing. They will go on for a long time. Nothing says you're invested in city more than putting down rail down the streets. So I don't know if that's for sure the future, but it's interesting when you look at how streetcars actually operate. Mm-hmm. They're a lot more like Uber and Lyft than they are buses.
Yeah.
Because it used to be you would walk out in the middle of McKinney Avenue or whatever, and you'd say, hey, pick me up, and they you flag it down, you jump on, and you pull the cord to get off.
Yep.
And that's more like Lyft and Uber than a bus. And you don't necessarily have to have a station for streetcars. We act like we need them, but they're actually designed, well, they are because of ADA.
Right.
You have to have the 16-inch up.
Yeah.
That's the problem is, not every part of the city wants to go from 6-inch curb to a 16-inch curb.
I see.
Yeah,
and so we're for 60 feet in length. So that kind of stuff is a big deal. And it's good if you have them dedicated because you don't want to see people break down their cars on a streetcar track and the whole system shuts down.
Yeah.
So it's I'm a streetcar geek.
Oh, I mean, it's
sorry guys. I didn't tell you about that, Savannah.
No, that's Jason. Obviously, some of the is like
the
whole going from downtown to Bishop Arts.
Yeah,
Jason. I've always wondered if
Jason was on the board.
Keep going to Jefferson, or
no, that's the plan. It's actually the plan is to go to the Dallas Zoo.
Perfect.
It's going to come down. That is the plan. You'll be hearing from it soon.
Okay.
Half Associates is doing some studies right now. The goal is to get to the deck park, the Southern Gateway Deck Park, which is supposed to open actually earlier than we thought.
Oh, good.
So it should open early.
Which is amazing.
Early 26. It should be open.
That's awesome.
But the streetcar, the goal is to get it to that location. There's some issues on Jefferson itself because of cars backing in and out. Things have changed since the streetcar used to be on Jefferson. I don't think you can't say no for sure, but the goal right now is just to go from where it stops in Bishop Arts to the
deck
Dallas,
park
to
or
the
to the zoo. Okay.
To the deck park, pretty much. So that's in the plans, and you'll be hearing about that pretty soon. Just check on Half Associates. Oak Farms, they did a big study at Oak Farms out there where I live.
Nice.
And that's part of the project.
You brought up Bishop Arts. We were talking about Bishop Arts a second ago. And I think you helped You've got a number of involvements, I think, in Bishop Arts. But tell us. I think you helped spearhead the Great Texas Neighborhood.
That's from Chad West.
Designation. Okay.
Chad. He asked Megan O'Neill and myself. He was in my department, another planner. And this is around 2019, 2020, I think it was. And so to go through that KER TV show, what's his name? The guy that does the whole, goes around Texas and has fun.
Oh, Chet.
The
Day Tripper.
The Day Tripper.
Oh, I'm friends with Chet.
I was gonna say,
really? That's great. Yeah.
So that inspired it. So we wanted to get the we wanted to get recognition as a great neighborhood in Texas. There was already, San Antonio had gotten it the year before. There was all these places. So we went for the plaque, and we got it in 2020.
Awesome.
And I was taking photographs of Bishop Arts, and there wasn't hardly anyone there. I was like, I was like writing to Austin saying, "Hey, look, there may not be anybody in this photograph, but it's still a great place." So because it was, it was the pandemic at the time, but. So we got that in Jim Lake, volunteered the place for the little plaque there. Cool. I'm glad people see that.
Yeah,
that was kind of fun.
That's amazing.
That was just a little side thing, but really Megan O'Neill. It was myself and another person, Megan O'Neill. She's also an Oak Cliff resident.
I know we're coming up on an hour, but there's one more question I have to ask about the pecan tree.
Oh yes, the one that we saved.
Yes, tell me the story because
that's kind of a West Dallas story, but
I know but it's also right off the Trinity River.
Yeah.
It's our oldest pecan tree in this area.
I didn't even tell you I worked on the Trinity River project for 6 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I was. God, I hate to do this to you guys. I grew up in Garland with Duck Creek, and I was always a creek person. Yeah. I lived in San Francisco. And I heard that Dallas was looking at the Trinity River, and I just was biting my, like a horse chews on a thing, get back to Dallas to hopefully work on the Trinity. And then I got to Dallas, and then it went to a firm in San Francisco to work on the Trinity. I said, oh, well, that's great. I could have just stayed in San Francisco to work on the Trinity. So I worked in Dallas for a while, and then it came up again. And then I just called up all my friends, the sculptor I worked with before, Whitney Lopez. I called up all these people. I got 29 firms involved. And to go after the Trinity project in the San Francisco office of Hargreaves Associates, they said, don't even bother.
Okay.
We know you came in 1987 talking about the Trinity. We didn't hire you. Mm-hmm. All this business. So it was my dream to win the Trinity back. So I was the only local person on the team.
Yeah. Wow.
And we went after it and won it in 2006. And then they said, oh, well, you got to do the Parkway. And I'm like, oh, great. Thanks. Thanks for ruining my dream.
Yeah.
So we did the Parkway, and we did without the Parkway. I have it on that flash drive over here. We'll see it sometime.
Oh, nice.
And none of us on the team really want to do the Parkway. We had to be neutral about it, right?
Mm.
And the city didn't want us to talk about the project. I didn't work for the city at the time.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, so that was the dream. We worked on that for some time. We actually got the Corps of Engineers to. On my birthday, April 27th, Jason Roberts' birthday too. We have the same birthday, except I'm older. That in 2015 we got that passed, and you could actually build the Trinity on what we had done.
Wow.
But the problem with the Trinity, guys, and I'll be really quick, is 2 words: fluvial geomorphology.
Okay.
No, it's the San Mandela of engineering. Okay. It's basically accounting for the science of rivers. If you do this, what will the river do in 10,000 years if you do this?
Yeah.
So when we did the Trinity project, we had to, first of all, we said, it's a park, right? And of course it's a floodway. We said, we're going to put trees in there. And they said, no, you're not. And then they did the math for a while, and they said, okay, what's the average caliper of a tree? We said, it's like that. Yeah. How much cubic inches will that displace? What's the flow rate of the river? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Okay, you could do 19,000 trees. That's it. No more, no less. So we had to do 19,000 trees to make the floodplain thing work. But the problem is
no more, no less. You had to.
Yeah.
That was the number.
Yeah, that was
19,000?
19,000 exactly.
That is a lot of trees.
It's very analytical. It's like a San Mandela. They measure every cubic inch of the riverbed for the 8 miles.
Fascinating.
And to see where the water speeds up, where it slows down, it was psychotic. It took 5 years for me to do that.
Wow.
Anyway, I'm just saying this really quickly because the Corps agreed to it, but no politician, no media, no one wants to get into the science behind fluvio geomorphology.
Yeah.
It's such a geekish thing to do.
Except for the Hidden City podcast.
You heard it here. Except for y'all. Yeah. Anyway, that was the problem, is hard to explain that and why it's so important. But yeah. There you go.
That's amazing.
It's just over our head.
Well, and the Trinity River. I mean, we've listened to the Port of Dallas, like getting some of that history.
Yeah,
and go ahead.
And I'll get back to the tree too.
Oh yeah. No, just that might have to be another episode at some point too.
Yeah, if you want
the whole history of the Trinity River, kind of moving and meandering. It's pretty wild.
It is bizarro world.
Yeah.
Arcacosa, the original name.
Yeah.
River of Canoes.
But this is our just to put a pin. It's one of the oldest trees in Oak Cliff, West Dallas.
185-year-old pecan tree. And German family. I forgot it starts with an H. I was working on the Beckley project, Beckley Commerce project, as the only landscape architecture firm that was ever a prime. Everything else, and Public Works always used civil. So we redid that intersection. And some people was like, get rid of the tree. And some people said, save the tree.
Yeah.
My last public meeting, I think Randall White or someone rose their hand and says, "Oh, what about the tree?" It says, "Oh, okay, we'll save it. I mean, we can work around that." We thought it was like 80 years old. Find out it's 185 years old. And the unofficial mayor of West Dallas, when the Trinity flooded, he used that to save cattle and stuff. Like he roped. Like that tree actually saved people during the flood. So it was used for people were animals and things were going up. I mean, it was like
an outpost or like a way to hold on to.
But it's older than
Dallas.
It's older than Dallas. And so our goal was to see what we can do to save it. Now, unfortunately, a lot of cars still run into it. We still want to get this right.
Yeah.
But that poor tree, it's trying its best. But
we drive by it every day, and
I do too.
We wave to it.
Oh, I know.
Like, hey, look at this thing.
We wanted that whole thing to be better. The whole design. We wanted the rain gardens to work, and they kind of didn't follow.
Well, Don, thinking about. I mean, you have a really interesting perspective on cities.
Too much.
Well, no, it's fascinating. I'm curious. What for somebody who doesn't really understand your job or understand what it takes to do long-term planning like you do, what is something you would want the Joe Schmo average person to understand about what it takes to plan a city? Because it seems like there can be times when the planners get demonized it can get political.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Because it's your home, right? This is your backyard. But what's something that you would maybe share with somebody who's like,
I think you have to really immerse yourself if you want to do this as best you can.
Yeah.
I think you basically become a geek and read the newspaper every day.
Yeah.
Even if it doesn't seem applicable, you get all these goofy little facts that
cows on Jefferson.
The things that stick with you. But I think it takes that, Grant. I think you have to be passionate about it. You have to really be optimistic as you can be.
Yeah.
It's sometimes you feel like you're doing a lot of stuff and and people don't quite get it and they're not quite sure and and they don't expect creativity to come from the city too. Are we paying you to do that?
Right. That's interesting.
Because it's a utilitarian thing. We tend to look at cities like, that's all nice and good, but what about the potholes? And I get that too.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, there's things
they don't think of design,
but they underestimate.
Yeah. I mean, it's
the capabilities.
It's okay, but then again, I come from a place that I'm not going to be an opportunistic. Like I'm not going to make a lot of money if I come up with a great design. Because I'm going to make it, I'm going to pour more concrete and make more money off it. But what I'm going to do is I even told this to Chad West the other day. I said, listen, I'm not going to make more money from a good idea. I'm just going to get it out there.
Yeah.
If you get a good idea out there, then it's integrity. Because, you want to have your job, you want to get paid for your jobs, but you really want to have a proud integrity kind of feel for it. So you want to feel like, good about what you do. Even if you don't get, a lot of money.
Yeah.
You're only as rich as what you spend, really.
Yeah.
In a way. I mean, you can make $1 million and blow $1 million.
Well, that's right. And the payoff seems like the long term setting up success for an area.
For your neighbors and people.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And it doesn't have to be your name. It's like you do this. I even told I was with Catherine Holman last night at her house talking about this idea of I said, this is really coming not from me. This is coming from this community that we're in. It has to be. It's really more gratifying if other people pick up on it and it's and they run with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you can't carry that. You may have a good idea, but you got to, you can't carry that load all the time.
Right.
You got to make sure
there's
that
only so much you can do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, gosh, you could beat yourself up. Careful what you wish for, kind of thing, right?
Sure. And, well, it's like what Monty says about this building. Even sometimes he's like,
Oh yeah, I remember.
There's what I want, which is not as important as like, what do people need this building to be for the neighborhood?
Yep.
And
he got the blueprints on this thing. I was telling Savannah, I remember around 2003 or 4, and he showed it to me. It's like, what do you think about this place? I was like, I think it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And we walked to it, when it was still.
Oh, seriously?
Still Delta Industries.
Raccoon.
Yeah.
Infested area.
But I'm glad he followed through. It took him a while, but
he
had it took him a while to get all that together. But he's really reflective of this community too, because he knows that good ideas and there's good entrepreneurs and there's a good spirit of the place.
Yeah.
So he's very cognizant to those things. Absolutely.
Well, Don.
All right, guys.
Man, this has been.
Can we do this again sometime?
Yeah.
This is so fun.
Talk about another
Such a joy.
subject.
Oh yeah.
I think I covered every subject.
I appreciate all the time you've put into the neighborhood.
Thanks, guys.
And everything you're doing. So this is.
I appreciate it.
And the time today. It was awesome.
Appreciate you coming on.
Oh, thanks, guys.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to this episode of The Hidden City. We hope you discovered something about Oak Cliff that you didn't know. If you enjoyed the show, I hope you subscribe to it on YouTube and then follow us on any of the podcasting platforms. Also, if you enjoyed it, please share with a friend. And thanks so much for tuning in.